All right, Yar, my man, good evening. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. Good evening. I'm all good. How are you, Ian?
I'm well. I'm a bit swamped, and but fully recovered from the flu and firing on all cylinders. Start of the year, busy like yourself. I know you have a lot on your plate as well. Congrats on the CloudEmployee website launch. One of our customers went live with a new website.
Yeah, thanks. It was great. I'm very happy we finally did it. Right on time. Was a lot of work, but
Yeah,
it's gonna be a nice use case to show.
for sure. Very nice people, UK based. Looking forward to follow up with them and gather some feedback, some stuff that we can learn from. And yeah, it always feels nice to launch something new. And we have a couple more good ones in the pipeline, but more about that later. You know why we're here. We're here to nerd out about tech stuff. I heard you talking about a couple of new things that Webflow has introduced. What's on the menu for today?
Yeah. So the talk of the community now is the new update that Webflow released. Webflow variable modes. They're calling it variable modes. It's actually interesting. I know they released variables last year, and this year they released variable modes. It's been on the talks that variables were good. It was a very good update last year, but it lacked that responsive bit where you set the variables but you can't make it responsive. So it made the workflow much longer, I guess. So some people did not use variables. Some people used them with a limit, but now they released variable modes, and variable modes, you can set variables in responsive, making things much easier, much more automatic, especially when it comes to responsive, and bug fixing on responsive is sometimes hectic on mobile, on tablet, on mobile landscape, on larger screens. So having variable modes really helped. Uh,
Okay, let
well,
me stop you there, Yar, because
yes,
I'm going to ask you to break down variable and variable modes in layman's terms, because of course not everybody's as tech savvy as you, and especially our customers, our ICP marketing guys like me. So explain it to me like I'm 4 years old or 5 years old.
yeah, explain it like I'm five, right?
Yes,
That's
Eli
that's
five.
I love five. Yeah, so variables, variable modes, they are basically sizes, colors, styles that are set in a variable mode so that you can reuse these variables across different elements. Some sort of like a guide or some sort of like a dictionary for the website to use these styles across different elements. And then when you change these variables, say the font size, you change them from variables, and everywhere where this variable is applied gets that change as well. Um, this is great because it creates a consistency in the styles, consistency in spacing, consistency in colors. You can set the variables. You can easily change. Let's say making an update on the website, a rebrand. You're changing the colors, the sizes, the font style. So with variables, that's very easily done. Now, this is something that CSS released a few years ago, but was only possible in Webflow in a custom way. And then since Webflow released this variables last year, it was possible to do this directly in Webflow, which made the workflow much easier. Now they even made it even much more easier with the variable modes, so that now you can set the variable. Let's say I set the font size to 7 pixels on desktop, and it's 4 pixels on mobile. And I set that in the settings of variable, and it automatically adjusts that. And wherever I use this variable that has 7 pixels, it's always responsive on 4 pixels on mobile.
Right.
So
So it
it's
also it also sounds like a good tool to, for example, make sure that brand consistency across the board is being safeguarded. I guess. Can imagine
exactly,
that
exactly.
many visual font related things, color related things, spacing related things are adhered to because of those variables, and your brand consistency is basically, is more solid, right?
Exactly, yeah. Brand consistency as well, in the terms of when it comes to scaling the website, when it comes to building new pages, variables helps you make this much smoother. You can easily create more pages, more styles, more sections, come up with new things on the website, yet you are using the same the same base, the same variables.
Yeah.
And that's where variables become very valuable in this
Mhm.
in this sense. So they created variable modes. Now there are two versions of this. There's the version that is variables that are responsive, which is great. You can set the variable to be responsive across tablet, mobile landscape, and portrait mode. And perhaps I can share a screen so we can maybe show this in action.
Sure, go for it.
I can share a screen. So now this is a simple test project I was playing around with. So in variables, so now we have it. Let me zoom in. Perhaps it's better. Okay, so in variables, so now they're used as collections. So you can create as many variable collections. So let's say I have a variable collection for brand color or brand A, brand B, or depending on the use case. And then inside it, you have the variable name and then the base mode. And this is what we had before, only that base mode. And then we set up the variables. And the variables are color, size, percentage number. These are the variables that we can set. So these are the styles. Now we can have this in mobile. So as you can see, I can create a new mode and make it automatic. And I have modes that are automatically changed on breakpoints. So again, if I set the variable to something, it automatically changes on the breakpoint that I choose, and I can set those to as many as I want. And then there's the manual one, which is interesting because it helps with things like setting a dark mode. So I have my base mode and I have a dark mode, and I'm setting up colors, specific colors. So let's say I have the button in base mode, it's orange, and in the dark mode, it's dark. So this also helps set up things like, let's say I have a dark mode toggle, or set it up to the root so that I can make this as per the user's preference, user's browser preference. If they set up their browser in dark mode, always the website adapts to that.
Oh,
And if
that's
it's,
not. This is a
yeah,
nice use case, actually, because when you choose to, have a dark mode version of your website and you offer your visitor a toggle, I can imagine many things can go wrong, right? Sort of the because
yeah,
you have to always have specific stuff for readability, etc. That you have to take into consideration with dark mode, and now we can basically pre-program that to make sure that whatever you do or whatever new pages you add in the future, they all adhere to those variables, and the readability isn't effective, and the user experience remains on point.
exactly. It will be something like nowadays we'll be designing the style guide. Let's say the style guide in the base version, and then a style guide that is preset. We preset the colors. We make sure that all the colors are contrast accessible. Everything is well prepared, and then we set those colors for dark mode, and then we come and set them up um, on the project itself so that we have this preference. So that now you can see I can go to the body and I have this button here. This is the base mode, and I can click on variable modes, and I can click on dark, and it changes it to dark. If I go in base, of course, the mobile. So these are variable modes that are created in the new, the new flexibility that they're giving us with variables.
Mm-hmm.
Now, apart from variables, before, I mean, setting dark theme or light and dark mode is good with CSS, because CSS has a color schema. If I can share this color schema, CSS. Sorry, I'm doing a search live here, but yeah. So color schema is a great CSS property that, again, with having the design set up, with having a, let's say, a light and dark mode with color schema, it's very good to set it up on the project, and then this is also possible because of an update that Webflow released, which is custom properties. Now you can add color schema right here, and then sorry, this is color scheme, and then we set it up in light and dark mode. And again, you set up your light colors and dark colors, and it's semi-code. It's not no code. It's semi-code because you have to do the property here, and it's based on the documentations of CSS. But it's again, this is something that you can set up now with variables and have that set up natively in the CSS, allowing you a very, very good accessible website. The browser reads it very well. And nowadays, like I like to say, it's not only the browsers, it's the AI as well. AI can read your website well.
Yes.
So you got to build your website well enough so that AI can read it, because nowadays we browse a lot with that.
Yeah, I agree. I was talking about it to a colleague today, actually, that I do a lot of my browsing with LLMs right
Yeah.
now, and yeah, I might ask you a little bit more about your vision on that, and what do you think gets more important when designing and building a website as the rise of AI search basically continues. But don't let me distract you. Uh,
No,
Go ahead.
no, I mean that's basically it about variables. Also, like this is something that is part of the new Webflow that they're creating. So that Webflow is creating a lot of updates, a lot of different ways to use the platform. They're integrating a lot of tools, integrating a lot of new features. However, in some features, it's lacking the proper adjustment in the back end. And that's why I brought up color scheme, because color scheme can be a better way to have the dark and light mode because it's CSS native than using variables, because in this way, as I've tested so far, as I've seen some resources, the variables are being parsed in two times if I'm setting up mobile or tablet. So I'm getting more than one variable setup, which is making my CSS file a bit larger. Um, there are workarounds, of course, around this, like creating another collection or so. But yeah, so these new updates from Webflow are great. Sometimes in the back end, they need some attention to make sure that okay, it's working well in the back end. It's responsive. The browsers are reading it well. The LLMs are reading it well.
Yeah.
It's always good to keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about when I talk about this stuff with you or with Jelle or with others from our team, like we love Webflow, of course. It served us very well, but it's always good to remain critical. So, what do you think
Yeah.
about what do you think about the overall progression of Webflow this past year, going into 2025 with the updates they have been rolling out? Are they going fast enough? Do you think that they prioritize the right updates, or do you have like a secret wish list for yourself of updates that Webflow should push in your opinion?
Um, well, what makes Webflow special is, I mean, they focus on these very big updates, make big stuff on their website. Um, I think a new update coming up very soon is the GSAP update, because Webflow recently acquired GSAP,
Yes.
and I'm waiting for this. It's going to be happening, I'm sure, very soon. It's replaced. Maybe they were going to replace, because now they use IX2 for animations, so maybe they're going to replace that with GSAP. I think that is going to be a um, major win for Webflow, because most of the websites nowadays, the good websites, are using GSAP. GSAP
Yeah.
is becoming very, very
Here we go again. Explain it like I'm
yeah,
five for our
yeah.
audience
So
who's not as tech savvy. So quickly
yeah,
explain, if you will, what GSAP is and which role it plays in a lot of the modern day websites.
yeah. So GSAP is a JavaScript library that handles animations and interactions on a website. It got very famous in the past few years because of its lightweight. It's very responsive. It's really, really customizable. You can create very smooth animations, set them up as per interactions, like as per okay. I want to set this interaction from this screen point to this screen point, and it's very accurate, responsive to different screen sizes. So this JavaScript library, GSAP, became very famous. A lot of great websites used it. Apple used it in a lot of their websites. So it became kind of like the standard or the market leader in animations. And apart from Webflow, a lot of big websites. Again, Apple is one of the websites. They're not on Webflow, but they use GSAP as the animation library. So now that Webflow acquired it, I think there's a lot of potential for a lot of websites to move to Webflow, be able to use GSAP better, and have more abilities, more capabilities.
Okay, and what do you expect from this acquisition of Webflow acquiring GSAP? What do you think that the biggest advantage will look like in terms of what they can now do? Well, in terms of an update, what would you like to see?
Yeah, I would like to see. I mean, this is something I'm very happy to see, the GSAP part. But um, I mean, there are a lot of ideas, especially with the AI, with the generative AI, um, having like some sort of AI agents that help you build websites or build stuff on the website that is embedded in Webflow. This is something that I see coming very soon. Um, More things that help um, make the process easier, make the process more autonomous. Um, it will be less these bug fixing, consistency, fix space, fix this text, less of these type of stuff, and it'll be more like, okay, functionality. Let's add more features. Let's add more stuff. Let's scale the website. And I see that happening in the sense of user experience. But I see Webflow as well is going to make that happen for users. So users don't have to worry about the little details; they just worry about the big ideas. And then there are little bots, little AI, little agents. It just does everything for them.
Can you, by the way, can you unshare your screen, please, so I
Oh,
can?
sorry.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the,
no worries, no worries, so I can look directly a little bit more into your direction. Okay,
yeah.
I'm super interested in what you said about AI agents that help you build, basically, and then after that, also interesting. It's for the builders, the makers. It is sort of more focusing on the big ideas and the vision of the website and less hassle and endless details in terms of bug fixing and other things. So, yeah, it's an interesting one that basically applies to everything that has a creative element to it in terms of the field of work. I truly believe that AI is that is like the core, the main advantage of AI is to free up space for humans to give their unique addition to a project, whether that's a creative project or even a development project. So let's try and make it tangible for our audience here. So when you say I would like to see AI agents being implemented into Webflow, you as a Webflow developer, what are the processes that you would love to delegate to an AI agent?
I mean, first of all, it's the main building process, the layout build, that first build. Let's say I have the design in Figma, it's done, it's like pixel perfect. It's just the copy paste part. It's kind of a repetitive work as well now with all the, let's say, variables, responsive. You have a lot to worry about even when you're building just one thing.
Mhm.
So I see that being automated now. There has been tries to ease up the workflow, but there's always errors because this workflow requires a lot of attention, like this copy and paste. So this is something that I would love to see have an AI, um, you know, copy everything to Webflow based on the styles, on the variables, just like puts everything in place. Um, Something that I can interact with. I go like, okay, I don't like this section. Give me some sort of a background that fits the theme, something like that,
Yeah.
and then it kind of fits something in. Um, Also, it's going to be a matter of, okay, design development. Um, there is always this, friction.
Yeah, because
But
looking at it
yeah,
from the other angle, when you look at more like from the Framer angle, basically
yeah,
that sort of school of thought is basically you design it and it gets developed right away. Ultimately, that will be the thing, right? Ultimately,
yeah,
um, yeah, that will be fully integrated, and you will basically design and it gets developed as you sit there designing it. Of course, there's always nuances there. It will not be like that fully, but more and more it will go in that direction, right? That you basically design something in Figma, and right away it gets sort of put together as a technical website. Framer is leaning towards that, right? Where
yeah,
you can even do much more design tasks outside of Figma directly in Framer. So, and then you have Webflow, of course, coming from basically the other angle and closing in on it. So, where do you see this all come together? Where do you all see this end?
um I'm not sure, man. It's like interesting times ahead. I don't know how it's gonna end, but I see
Nobody
like
really.
this, like Framer is doing really good in that sense of making things very visual, making things easily done right on the platform. You don't have to go elsewhere. However, where it's kind of like a bit poor is the back end stuff. So how it's built in the back end, how that code is being built in the back end. Yeah,
Mhm.
it looks very pleasing. It's very nice, but in the back end, maybe it's not as accurate. Let's say as Webflow, how it builds in the back end. So in Webflow, you have this visual build, you drag and drop, but it has a good code in the back end, and that's basically what made Webflow excel uh, over the years. It's this part is that okay? It's building websites, but it has a good kind of back end.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
That's also what we
yeah,
talk about with customers when they talk about SEO and what do you guys contribute in terms of SEO. One of the
yeah,
arguments that we use Webflow is always that it delivers clean code. Um,
yeah, yeah. But lately, with all these updates, again with all the updates from Webflow side, with all the updates on the browsers, Google, with the LLMs being able to browse websites. Um, are they going to keep up? How is it going to be shaped from now on? Because maybe like in a few months, the LLM will be able to read the website even if it's not built as accurately,
yeah,
because it kind of like makes sense of things. Um, so it can read a Framer website as well as it can read a Webflow website. So in this case, I'm sure Framer can take the lead, and a lot of because it's requested. It's a very nice tool. It's easy to use.
yeah, and as
That-
as
yeah,
the sort of the AI search or LLM search gets more pervasive, so it gets more mature, then probably that will mitigate a lot of the things that it can do right now, and that it really needs to see clean code, and you can also throw more rough data to it. I often find myself
yeah,
talking about ChatGPT, just putting screenshots in there with text, or if I want to edit slides or something and I need some input, I just, Command Shift 4 and just literally paste, Command V it in my prompt window, and it just reads everything and it gives me some new ideas for how to approach a slide, for example. I work with screen. I mean, so I'm just saying that the chunks of information that you throw into an LLM can get much more rough and less sophisticated, and it's much easier for the AI now to just quickly read it, analyze it. So yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you
yeah,
mean. And yeah, it's gonna be super interesting times, and I think it's good that you and other community members keep Webflow, on its toes a little bit. Like, hey guys, we love you. You're a great platform, but keep your A game coming, and give us what we need to build better websites, basically, for our customers. So yeah, man, we broke the cardinal rule of this concept by going well over 20 minutes, Jar, but it was
oh, yeah,
oh my god, yes, we're getting punished for
yeah.
that some way, somehow. No, but it was worth it. Thanks again for some interesting updates. I hope you
No
guys
worries. Happy to do this.
yeah, man, hope you guys are watching this on YouTube and that you also subscribe to the Noco channel, because we got some more stuff coming up. We got clips posted from this episode. Um, we got some other people that get involved in these kind of mini podcast episodes as well. Yeah, man, let's keep designing beautiful things, and let's keep building them so that they work for our
Yeah,
audience. And yeah, any closing words from you, Yar?
for sure. Yeah, gonna be an amazing year. Gonna build awesome stuff this year.
That's
This is
right.
gonna be a year where we're gonna build amazing stuff, like year of action.
Amen to that.
So yeah,
All right. See you
yeah,
guys
nice.
later.